Good morning. This meeting is called to order. Meeting of the Louisiana Tax Commission. Date is Wednesday, April 2nd, 2025. And the meeting is being held at the offices of the Louisiana Tax Commission at 1051 North 3rd Street, Suite 225 in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Again, the date is Wednesday, April 2nd, 2025. Ms. Banks, please call the roll.
Chairman Rousseau, Commissioner Leone,
Here.
Acting Chairman Romick,
Here.
Commissioner Guidry,
Here.
Commissioner Frazier.
Here.
4 present and a quorum.
Thank you. Item 3 is old business, which I don't think there is any to cover this morning. So we'll move on to item 4, which is the approval of minutes. This morning we have 4 individual meetings that we'll address each. The first is the meeting of December 4th, 2024. Is there any discussion on those minutes? If not, I'll have a motion.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve the minutes for December 4th, 2024.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the motion carries. We'll move to the meeting minutes of December 18th, 2024. Any discussion on those minutes? Then I'll entertain a motion. Thank you. Any objection to that? Hearing none, those minutes are approved. Next, the minutes of March 12th, 2025. Again, any discussion? And a motion.
Mr. Chair, I have a motion to approve the minutes for March
12th, 2025?
Yeah.
Thank you. Any objection to that? Motion carries. And finally, the minutes of March 19th, 2025. Discussion? If none, then a motion.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve the minutes for March 19th, 2025.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, that motion carries. Item 5 on the agenda is items to be considered. Ms. Banks, consideration of change orders.
Shandrika Banks on behalf of the Louisiana Tax Commission. Today we have a total of 1,481 change orders. Staff has reviewed those change orders and requests to approve 1,433 and place 48 in pending status. Staff requests approval of these change orders.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the 1,433 change orders and place 48 in pending status for reasons given by staff.
Thank you. Is there any objection to that motion? Hearing none, the motion carries. Item B is consideration of prior pending change orders.
Shandrika Banks on behalf of the Louisiana Tax Commission. Today we have a total of 33 prior pending change orders. Staff has reviewed those change orders and requests to approve all 33. Staff requests approval of the prior pending change orders.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the 33 prior change orders.
Is there any objection to that motion? Motion carries. And finally, consideration of tax sale cancellations.
Shandrika Banks on behalf of the Louisiana Tax Commission. Today we have a total of 4 tax sale cancellations, all in St. Tammany Parish, 3 for being duly assessed and 1 for being erroneously sold. Staff requests approval of 4 tax sale cancellations.
Mr. Chair, call for approval of the 4 tax sale cancellations for reasons given by staff.
Any objection to that motion? Hearing none, the motion carries. Item 6 is consideration of the 2024 fourth quarter supplemental tax roll, tax years 2021 through 2024 for Orleans Parish.
Good morning. Tanisha Malvo on behalf of the Louisiana Tax Commission. Today, the staff has received the supplemental tax rolls for calendar year 2024, fourth quarter for tax years 2021 through 2024 for Orleans Parish. That includes the electronic rolls, the TC33 abstracts, and millage reports for those years. The quietus and the Louisiana Legislative Auditor's approval letter are not required for the supplemental roll, as it was previously filed during the original filing of the 2024 tax roll. Please note that the LTC values for public service and banks and insurance values did not change. The assessor has provided an affidavit attesting that the information contained in the supplemental tax rolls are correct and that all affected taxpayers were timely notified. The reasons for these supplemental rolls are as follows. For real property, its canceled homestead exemption and/or age freeze due to deceased owner, or the homestead exemption was located somewhere else. In personal property, it was business error or erroneously omitted from the tax roll and/or the ITEP expired. Therefore, staff requests approval of the Orleans Parish supplemental tax roll for calendar year 2024, fourth quarter for tax years 2021 through 2024.
Thank you, Ms. Malveaux. So there's a request. Is there a motion to accept that request?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to accept the request.
Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 7 are appeals. Mr. Hoffman.
Indicate to you to affirm the oath, simply state I do or I affirm, and I'll have you state your name. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yeah, I do. Kevin Gilbert, I do.
Rita Barris, I do.
Thank you. Y'all may have a seat. Appraisers, same exercise. You'll unmute and turn your camera on. Danny? Okay, appraisers, if you'll raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Danny?
Denny Blanchard, I do.
George?
George Wallace, I do.
Josh?
Joshua Laverne, I do.
Mark?
Mark Gillespie, I do.
And Mike?
Mike Cater, I do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hoffman. First appeal is docket number 23-22176-274, the appeal of Loretta Barris versus Assessor Errol G. Williams.
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
Just want to thank everyone for hearing my case this morning.
Good morning, Ms. Would you just reaffirm your name for the record, please?
Loretta Barris.
Thank you. You may begin.
Okay. I just want to state that why I'm here this morning is just to bring to the panel's attention that the building that I'm in, I have a business downstairs and I live upstairs. Myself and my husband purchased this right after Katrina, like 2006. He passed away in 2015. So everything is is on me now. I live alone. I'm 72 years old. The building is in bad shape. It's termite infected, which I've been working with J&J. We got rid of the termites, but the damage that the termites did is still there. I haven't had enough finances to get that repaired. Also, recently it's been rat infested due to part of the building that had been shut down for a year. Hadn't had anything able to do to it. Still working with J&J to solve some of these matters. Due to finances, the process of me doing the repairs is really slow. I know a while ago I did bring some photos for you guys to see, to look over. And within that time, more things have happened. There's cracks in the outside of the building, the foundation. So it's really in bad shape.
Thank you. Anything more?
No.
Any questions from the commissioners at this time for Ms. Barris? Okay, we'll move on to the assessor's office. Mr. Alvarez.
Good morning, Commissioners. So this property is located in New Orleans on the corner of Louisiana and Barone Street. It's a mixed-use property, partial residential, part commercial. The property was originally valued at $784,700. We did a fee simple appraisal because the property was appealed. After the board review affirmed our value, that fee simple appraisal came in right around the same value at $783,200. The tax commission's appraisal was a $750, which is right in line with our fee simple and mass appraisal. So we talked to the taxpayer and offered to settle at the tax commission value of $750.
Thank you, Mr. Alvarez. Any questions, commissioners? Hearing none, we'll move on. Mr. Laverne?
Oh, good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Joshua Laverne, LTC appraiser. I inspected and appraised the property at 1801 Louisiana Avenue, utilizing cost and income approaches. Those approaches produce values of $758,400 for cost and $750,000 for the income, with $125,000 attributed to the land. Most weight was given to the income approach for $750,000.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Laverne? Ms. Barris, anything further to note?
No, that I just need you guys' support to
Thank
get it back to where it should be.
Thank you. Any discussion, commissioners? If not, do I hear a motion? Which I
Chair, I call for a motion to accept the $750,000 agreement with the city with LTC appraisal, land $125,000, improvement $625,000, total of $750,000.
So a motion has been made. Any objection to that motion? Hearing none, the motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Barris. Item B is docket number 2322176-220 that we have on record as being settled. So we'll move on to item C, docket number 2322172-177, the appeal of Assessor Errol G. Williams versus Bob Enterprises. Good morning. We'll start with the assessor's office.
Morning, James Makita with Orleans Parish Assessor's Office. This property is at 1210 Decatur Street within the French Quarter. It's a mixed-use property, 65% residential, 35% commercial. There are 11 apartments and 3 retails. Our original valuation went in at $2,937,000. The Board of Review lowered it to $1,411,600. A lot of this was based upon what was said as damage from Ida. But I did ask for current conditions of the property, and all I had was the original tax, the insurance adjustment, insurance from the damages from Ida. So basically, we offered to settle at $2,500,000 based upon current sales of similar condition properties in the French Quarter. So the tax rep declined the offer for $2.5 million.
Thank you, Ms. Gata. Anything further? Any questions for the assessor's office? We'll move on to the taxpayer. Please identify yourself.
Sure. My name is Mike Sherman.
Closer, please.
Okay, great. Good morning. My name is Mike Sherman. I'm proud to be here on behalf of the Bob family, Felix, Eric, Sidney, and their siblings. This is a family-owned property at 1210 Decatur. I want to thank Mr. McKetta and the staff at Orleans Parish Assessor's Office for working with us. We tried in earnest to reach a settlement. This was an Ida damaged property because there's 2 commercial bays, not 3, but because those were occupied and there was an insurance dispute, the work has not resumed. The 2 commercial bays are now empty as I sit here. This summer we'll have over $2 million of work planned to take place on the property. Everything from the roof, the flooring, mechanical. There's apartments as well. We did a sales comparison approach and an income approach, and that was the basis for our successful appeals before the Board of Review last year and again this year. And we came in at $1,411,000 on the property. We think that's supportable. The tax commission appraiser did an appraisal and actually came in quite similar. All the metrics were virtually the same. The modest difference is based upon the income used. We are all imputing a higher operating expense because the property, when it's vacant, it doesn't make money. So they had to impute a couple bits of data. So the tax commission came in at $1,600,000, the staff, and we think that's certainly a fair and supportable number. We stand by our request at $1,411,000, but think that the tax commission's number is also a fair and equitable number for this property. There is vacancy, and then after the work's complete, I'm sure the assessor's office will pick up that work, and we'll have a new valuation.
Thank you. Any questions?
If it pleases the commission, can I add one more thing? I'm sorry. The property was listed all the way up to December 31st of 2021 after the hurricane for $4.9 million, and the listing in the MLS was calling it in very good condition.
Yeah, that is, there's a,
And the apartments also for lease were calling it very good condition also.
They're also listings, if I may. They're active listings.
Ms. Ross, if you,
I'm sorry. If I may add, there are also active listings on this building for the apartments, and there are listing them in excellent to very good condition. And we found leases that where the apartments had been leased between 22 and 24 in that condition.
anything further from the assessor's office? The taxpayers rep?
Sure, yeah, so it's a collection of buildings. The family owns over half a dozen properties, so there's a listing for it's a portfolio listing of a half a dozen properties. The other properties are not at issue. Some of them have already been renovated. This is the singular listing left. On the list of work to be completed, the roofing is over $400,000, exterior painting $167,000, insulation $127,000. But the list which has been provided to the assessor's office and the tax commission of the work to be completed, the units do have to be vacant to do some of that work. And they were occupied. Minimum work was done. Some work was done after Ida by the property owners. They're now going to do the major work to restore it. The listing, by the way, has a notation on the listing of an assignment of the insurance claim or not. And that is a notation on the listing where the purchaser has the ability to have an assignment of the insurance claim, or for a lower price, it's a claims-made policy. The property owners can finish off the insurance claim.
Mr. Chairman, I have just one question.
Yes, sir.
For the taxpayer, when was the actual date noted that remodeling or construction was being done on these properties?
So the major work is not complete yet. It will be this summer. And today, the commercial bays are empty, which allows for that to happen.
Any further questions from the commissioners before we move to the LTC appraiser? We'll move on to you, Mr. Wallace.
Yes, sir. George Wallace, Louisiana Tax Commission. I appraised the property on October 31st of 2024. The land value was undisputed. I did do a sales comparison approach for the whole property and came in with a value of $1,783,000. Did an income approach, used the actual income and expenses for 2022 and 23 that were supplied by the owner, and came in at $1,553,000. And I had a final correlated value of $1,600,000, which would be $442,200 to the land, $1,155,800 to the improvements.
Thank you, Mr. Wallace. Any questions for Mr. Wallace? Any further questions or discussion? And can I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion. I'm going to look at the average of both income approaches. Both of the income approaches were And my estimate were done very well. One using actual, one using average. So I'm looking at a total value of 2.247 and $350. That's the total value. That's a land value of 444,200 and an improvement value of 1,803,150.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Frazier, would you repeat the improvement value?
That's 1,803,150.
Thank you. So there's a motion. Is there any objection to that motion? Hearing none, the motion carries. Thank you. The next appeal is item D on the agenda, docket number 23-22173-073. This is the appeal of Chateau Sauvage. Yep.
Morris Khan.
Good morning, Mr. Khan. You may begin.
Good morning. Thank you. We'd like to support the value that was determined by Mr. DeVerge, the appraisal that was done by the tax commission of $90,000. Thank you, sir.
So your request again is for the LTC staff appraisal totaling $90,000.
Yes, sir.
No further comment.
I may add that the property, even though it's not noted in the appraisal, the property is outside of the levy district. And of course, it's being, I think it was accurately valued.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the commissioners? Hearing none, Mr. Alvarez, we'll move on to you.
Russell Elmers for the Orleans Parish Assessor's Office. So the property was originally valued at $234,200, which was affirmed by the Board of Review. We performed an independent appraisal, which yielded a value of $200,000. The issue that we have is that the property is a camp, yes, but it also has water frontage. The comparables in our appraisal were all single families that had waterfront properties and similar design. There was a recent lot sale on the subject street for $147,813 just for the land. We took a look at the tax commission staff appraisal, and we think that we disagree with the value. The property owner said that the property is insured but declined to provide insurance value to our office or to the Board of Review. Taking a look at the Louisiana Tax Commission appraisal, the first comparable, Chef Mentor Highway, is a wooded property that has no water frontage. The MLS states that is an unfinished camp. The property photos and MLS show that it's gutted to the studs. It has the most weight out of the three comparables, but it has no water frontage, as the subject property does have water frontage. There was a quit claim on the property 8 months after the quote-unquote sale, which was $110,000, higher than the sale price listed in the appraisal. There was no interior inspection done on the property, no photos to document condition, no documentation to warrant a value of $90,000, as comp 2 and 3 are closest and subject to the property, and also closest and subject to the conditions of the property, and both are valued well over $130,000. So we asked the commission to value the property at our independent appraisal of $200,000.
Mr. Alvarez, would you just give a breakdown of those components?
Yes, I apologize. That's $5,600 for the land, $194,400 for the building, for a total fair market value of $200,000.
Thank you. Any questions for the assessor's office? Hearing none, we'll move on to the LTC.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, Joshua Laverne, LTC appraiser. I inspected and appraised the property at 20039 Victory Road. I'm using a sales comparison approach. That approach produced a value of $90,000, with 5,600 attributed to the undisputed land and 84,400 to the improvement.
Thank you, Mr. Laverne. Any questions from the commissioners?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have a question for Mr. Laverne. Mr. Laverne, can you help me understand how did you come to your total of a 90,000 value of that property? What comps did you use in that area to make you come to that price that you listed?
Well, it's a unique property that it's a camp and it's wrapped in corrugated metal, which is not like anything that I could find. So you have to use the best comps available out there in the market, and I felt like these were the three best that I could find.
Okay, Mr. Josh, thank you.
You're welcome.
So those comps are showing, any questions on any, from what is being displayed?
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, that was for the commissioners, Mr. Laverne. The actual comps from your appraisal are being exhibited on our screen.
Okay.
No questions? So do I hear a motion on this docket?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I move that we go with the parish assessor's office at land at 5,600 and improvements at 194,400 for a total of 200,000.
So a motion has been made. Any discussion on that motion? Any objection to that motion? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Pardon? Yes, ma'am.
Next item on the agenda is docket 23-22172-129, 828 Toulouse Street versus Assessor Errol Williams. Morning, sir. If you would, begin with your name.
My name is Bobby Danner.
You may begin.
Okay. There are two pieces of property that are combined that make up a hotel. And I think the next one on the docket is probably 538 Dauphine. Is that right?
Yes, and we're going to hear those in succession, so seeing it all as
You do
one.
it separately. Okay. My point might be kind of combining them since they're, okay, is it?
That's fine. If you just pull your microphone a little bit closer.
Sure. Okay. All right. So, appreciate y'all, letting me, come and address the commission. So my parents bought the property in 1970, and it's, the family's operated as a hotel ever since. It's two adjacent properties at 828 Toulouse Street and 538 Dauphine Street. It's on a corner, so one fronts on Toulouse and the other fronts on Dauphine. Our issues with property tax began in about 2015, about 10 years ago. And I'm not going to go back too far. I know we're not litigating what happened then, but I just want to kind of set precedents that there was an issue that goes back a while, and that this has been kind of a reoccurring thing every year for the last 10 years. In 2014, the combined valuation of the two properties together was $17,279. In 2015, it went from $17,000 the previous year to $113,653. That was a one-year jump from $17,000 to $113,000. So I assumed that must have been a clerical error or something, because that dramatic of an increase seems kind of incredible. That's when I learned that we couldn't really, it was too late to contest it for that year, since we get the property bill, the tax bill in December, and Orleans Parish requires that you contest it 6 months prior to getting your bill. So for that first year, we paid it. We're assured it was a typo. The following summer, during the period that the city allows contesting the bills, we went and there was a very minimal reduction. We've been back and forth with this issue every year for those last 10 years. In 2019, we came to the State Tax Commission. The commission did rule in our favor. My understanding at the time was that it would follow through for the next 4 years. However, the following year, the city returned it to the higher rate. We then intended to debate it again then, but then COVID happened and there were some adjustments made because of COVID. So we were advised to accept those adjustments. So where we're at right now is that for several years we're a very small hotel. We have 41 rooms, and we were for several years the highest assessed hotel in the city of New Orleans, including the Windsor Court and the Ritz-Carlton and the Roosevelt. All of those, we were on a per key basis assessed at a higher value than every hotel literally in the entire city. That is I find that problematic for several reasons, but one important one is that in 2015 the city rezoned, and our hotel was rezoned from a dual residential commercial use to residential only, and now we're operating as a non-conforming conditional use as a hotel. So we're no longer zoned as so we're actually zoned as residential. This is problematic for a hotel because when I applied for a liquor license, I was denied based on the fact that the zoning was now residential. So that cuts off a lot of revenue streams for a hotel. We were not allowed to have a bar, a restaurant, do events, weddings. We can't have mini bars in the rooms, things that would generate revenue for most hotels. I feel like that's important because if the family decided to discontinue the hotel business and sell it, I feel like a buyer is going to be looking at every potential revenue stream if they're going to look to buy a hotel in the French Quarter. I think they're going to be interested in those things in a bar and whatnot. So I feel like it's really affects our our value. Currently, I've done a lot of comparisons to with other hotels using the assessor's website, where we can look at what other hotels are assessed at, divide that number by the number of rooms, get a per key valuation, and to find that we're still in very much on the upper end of the assessment. And I feel like it's number one, it's for us, it's unsustainable to do it, for forever and ever to pay these excessive amounts. But I just feel like we have no issues paying our property taxes, but I feel like it should be somewhere in line with what the other hotels our size are paid. And that's kind of what brought us to the assessment that we'd requested.
So what are you asking for if you have it divided by property or even in total, so we know what your ask is in comparison?
And I should have that right in front of me, and I don't. Can I grab my papers back there? It might be in that. I feel like I can do the math real quick.
We'll keep this moving along and give you a time to regroup on that. And then Ms. Ross, the assessor's office.
Good morning. Lisa Ross with the Assessor's Office. This property is a 41-room boutique hotel located in the French Quarters. It was appealed for 2024. According to my document, the original request was for a total of $2,177,000. We originally had the total property, that's for both properties together, that's 828 Toulouse and 538 Dauphine, together valued at a total of $4,964,800, using a pro forma. The Board of Review upheld our value. The taxpayer then appealed to the Tax Commission. A Tax Commission appraisal was done. We also prepared an appraisal done on the income approach. I originally did the income approach using a room rate, an average daily rate of $221.92, with an occupancy rate of 65% and capped the expenses at 67%, which rendered a total value of $3,889,300. Once I received reviewed the Tax Commission appraisal and reviewed the expenses, as well as other hotels of this size, I noted that the expenses have increased because insurance has increased. So I increased their expenses to roughly what the Tax Commission did to be on the fair side, at 72.25%, which then rendered a value of $2,960,000, 60,000, which I then offered to the taxpayer as a settlement. In my conversation with him, we also did discuss other hotels that are in the area or similar sized hotels and their value, and explained to the taxpayer that we receive income information from some of these taxpayers, which allows us to make a bigger adjustment, and therefore their assessment may be a little bit lower than his, even though they're similarly sized hotels. And I was not, I did ask for income information, and also asked if it was provided to the tax commission, and the taxpayer did not offer that income information, nor did he say he supplied it to the tax commission. So therefore, the only thing I have to go on is pro forma numbers, average numbers from CoStar, numbers that I see came from the tax commission or a host. We don't subscribe to host, but I do believe it's a reliable source, so I engage that. Therefore, I feel that the offer that we made of a total of $2,960,000 is fair based on the income information that I received and reviewed. Furthermore, as a part of their appeal to our office, we received a report from Murphy Appraisal Services stating, and this is from August of 2019, so I just wanted you to note that it's not a very recent appraisal, but in 2019 it was valued at $4.2 million. I believe that's all I have for right now.
Thank you, Ms. Ross. Any questions for the assessor's office?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have one question. I'm just trying to get some clarification on it. Ms. Ross, I noted that Mr. Robert, the taxpayer, stated that he pays some of the highest taxes in the city of New Orleans for a 41-room hotel. I'm having a hard time understanding that.
So he's saying per key. He's saying it's the highest per key. So right now he's valued at $72,000 a key. He referenced the Windsor Court, I believe, for 2020. In 2020, when he said he was higher than them per key, I know they were at 90, I believe 96 a key, but they also supplied income and expenses. I think now they're closer to 200,000 a key. I don't have it in front of me. I'm going off of what my memory, which is not the best, but they're closer to 200,000 a key. We're at 72,000 a key here.
Thank you, Ms. Ross.
So, Ms. Ross, your total of $2,960,000 is for both
That's
addresses,
for both parcels.
correct?
Yes.
And you, just remind me, you modified your operating expenses from your 67% up to the LTC 72.25?
I did.
And what was your overall cap rate used, just to confirm that? I guess is in comparison to what you saw for the LTC's cap rate.
My overall cap rate was 12.8.
Thank you.
Right.
Any further questions for the assessor side? And we'll come back to the taxpayer. Do you have a response to your ask?
Yes, sir. A couple of things. So the comparisons that I was making with all the hotels, that for the years of 2015, 16, 17, and 18 were the years that we were assessed higher than the others. Starting at 15, 2015, 16, 17, and 18, those 4 years. There were adjustments after that. The comment about not providing financials, I don't recall a conversation. I did have a conversation with the lady present here, Lisa, right?
Yes,
I'm sorry. I apologize. I
That's okay.
couldn't come your name. We had a conversation about 2 days ago, was it?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so we had a conversation about 2 days ago about the income and whatnot. I don't recall the question about whether or not we provided that to the tax commission, because I believe we did to the tax commission. But I will say I feel differently about providing information to the state tax commission. I have no issues with that. I feel a little bit different about providing it to the city. That's a personal thing just based on the history with issues with the city, that I'm more comfortable providing that to the tax commission. And we did. I'm pretty sure that we provided that. I don't recall that question being asked whether we had provided it to the tax commission.
That said, do you have your ask, just to confirm?
Well, so at 53,000 per key, that puts us, I think, in kind of in the mid-range of what hotels in the French Quarter are valued at.
Do you have a dollar amount that you're asking this commission for?
The same amount that you had mentioned, that we had asked, the 2,177,000. That was our request, which would put us about on average, if I'm not mistaken, I haven't looked in the last few months, because initially my research was last fall. So I think that puts us about on par with hotels our size in the French Quarter. Keeping in mind that other hotels are allowed liquor licenses, whereas we are not. And so I
Understood.
do feel like that is a factor.
Thank you. Any questions before we go to the LTC appraiser?
If I may add one more thing.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
know that Mr. Danner keeps referencing the years prior to 2024. At this point, they're irrelevant. We didn't use anything from 2024 to value, from 2015 through 2019 to value for 2024. We used pro forma data that we found in CoStar and other research to value these properties for 2024.
Ms. Ross, let me ask you a question. On the, you said 2,960,000 was both
Yes,
buildings.
that's for both
But what
parcels.
about on this one parcel? What would that, can you break down what this one parcel
Yes,
would
this
be?
one parcel would be 2,238,100. And that's roughly 72,200 a key.
And what's the improvement number?
Give me 1 second. So that would be land at 56120, 200. With improvement at 1,676,900.
676,900?
Yes, 1,676,900.
Any further questions? Let's go to the LTC. Mr. Gillespie, good morning.
Mark Gillespie with the Tax Commission. I appraised the subject property, Olivier House Hotel, and as stated by the taxpayer, I think the most significant issue with the property is that they're unable to obtain a liquor license, which is a significant source of income for a property such as this. However, utilizing income and expenses provided by the taxpayer significantly close to the number that the assessor just stated. I think they're at 2.9. I was at 2,680,000 for both parcels. And of course, we utilized only the income approach. Let's see, I think my total value for is the improvements were 1,981,100. The land at 698,900 for a total of 2,680,000 for both parcels.
Thank you, Mr. Gillespie. Any questions? Okay, so, excuse me, I think we've heard a presentation of a total for both. This would be my apologies, items E and H. So we'll take, since we have a total, I guess we'll first move for that motion on a total, then we'll confirm the allocations between the two properties. So I'm open for a motion on what has been presented.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion. I'm going to take the average of both income approaches, the revised income approach for the assessor's office. I thought both income approaches were done very well. So I reworked some math real quick. So the total value over both properties would be $2,818,600. The breakout, as long as I did my math correct very quick, the one ending in 129, the land value would be 561,200 with the improvement value of 1602700 for a total value of 2,163,900. Now for the parcel ending in -132. Okay.
Okay, so we're going for a motion. I've heard a motion for docket 23-22172-129 with a total value of $2,238,100 allocated.
One second, Greg, Commissioner Roman. Let me double check my math real quick on that because I came up with a different value on that. Yeah, the total value on 129, the total would be 2,163,900. That's an improvement value of 1602700 and a land value of 561,200.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier. My apologies for not hearing that correctly. So there is a motion. Any discussion on the motion? Any objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion carries. Now on to docket 23-22172-132, the other component of this property.
All right, I make a motion on -132. The total value will be 654,700. That's a land value of 137,700 and an improvement value of 517,000.
Thank you. There's a motion. Any discussion on that motion? Any objection to that motion? Motion carries. Thank you both. Thank you, Mr. Gillespie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I believe we're now on to item F, docket number 23-22172-130, the appeal of Hiller Pukoff versus the assessor Earl G. Williams. You're representing that as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you may begin. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
You may begin.
Okay. There are two properties with, under Pukoff. Is it the, 531?
This is 531 Dauphine.
Okay. So the property 531 Dauphine is across the street from the same hotel. It's been used as, in the past as parking, storage, minor work such as painting and furniture repair, that type of thing. So it is used along with the hotel, but it's not occupied space. However, there was a significant fire in 2023, which did a lot of damage. We've been going back and forth with the city ever since, in the Bucharest Commission, about permits so there have been no real improvements made other than there is a plywood fence, put up just to keep people off of the lot. Still waiting on approval to be able to build a permanent fence. There is a structure in the back that's in poor condition that we've used for storage and whatnot. It has no water, sewer, electricity. So I feel like the condition is pretty poor. I think that's anyway.
And much like the last two cases, your ask we have on record is $359,100 in total. Thank you. Anything further? Any questions, commissioners? We'll move on to Mr. Alvarez.
You said 359,100 total, it was his ask?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I just had a slight different ask on the border review. from what he had asked for. So this property, yes, is correct. The building burned down. What's left in the back is an accessory structure in the back, commonly referred to as the slave quarters in New Orleans. Our original value was 441. It was affirmed by the Board of Review. We feel that that value was high. We did a fee simple appraisal at 385.5. We feel that our appraisal, tax commission's appraisal, everybody's appraisal is putting the lion's share of the value on the land as it should be. The only difference is the actual building improvements. I'd offered to settle with the taxpayer at his requested value, which is fine and to be in line, pretty much splitting the difference between the tax commission and our valuation.
Thank you, Mr. Alvarez. Any questions, commissioners? Hearing none, we'll go to the LTC staff member, Mr. Blanchard.
Good morning, Commissioners. I did Danny Blanchard, staff appraiser for the Louisiana Tax Commission. I did a appraisal of the property at 531 Dauphine. As mentioned by the other folks in the room, the main structure was damaged by a fire, and what's left is a heavily depreciated accessory dwelling unit. We could only do we considered all three value approaches. We could only do a cost approach on this one, which yielded a final value conclusion of $319,500, which has a breakdown of $271,100 for the undisputed land and an improvement value of $48,400.
Thank you, Mr. Blanchard. Any questions, commissioners? Mr. Alvarez, if you would just review, your approach was a cost approach as well.
It was, yes. The only difference is the depreciation factor that was involved. We had a slightly different depreciation factor. So that's why our value is different than the commission's appraisal value. And then, like I said, in essence of trying to settle this matter before it came to the commission, we offered to settle with the taxpayer at his ask. We're okay with the 359.1.
Sir, you agree to that?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. My understanding was the tax commission's appraisal, though, maybe the amount was actually lower yet. Is that not, was I wrong about that?
It is, but are you agreeing with the assessor's offer or not?
I mean, I feel like an appraiser knows more than I do. So, I mean, my number is,
So, a yes or no, are you accept?
I'd like to go with the tax appraiser's assessment. I'm sorry, I'm not.
Fine, so that's your current ask, the LTC's appraised value. Understood.
If that's
Understood.
admissible,
Thank you.
That's allowed.
Any questions, discussion, commissioners? If not, I'll hear a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll a motion to accept the city working with the taxpayer's original request of $359,100, which is $271,100 of land, $88,000 improvements, total of $359,100.
There's a motion. Any discussion on the motion? Any objection? Hearing none, motion carries. Okay, now item G, docket 23-22172-131, property address of 534 Dauphine.
Okay, so this is also an adjacent property, and this was my parents' residence when they're in town. It's a small Creole cottage, one-room cottage with a living room, a bedroom, bathroom, kitchen. There's been no substantial improvement since they purchased it in the 1990s. My mother uses it when she's in town. My father passed away about a year ago, so my mother uses it when she's in town. Just I just felt like the increase seemed a bit excessive to me.
So we have on record that your ask is 154,600 in total.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions, commissioners? Hearing none, we'll move on to Mr. Alvarez.
Yes, so this property is a single-family property. We initially valued the property at 421,800, which was affirmed by the Board of Review. We did a fee simple appraisal, which actually came out higher at 440,000, and the tax commission staff appraisal is actually even higher than that at 491. Spoke to the taxpayer and recommended that he withdraw his appeal to retain the Board of Review's value, as it is the lowest value of any of the appraisals.
So Mr. Alvarez, what are you asking for then? Is it
Affirm the Board of Review's value.
the Board of Review's value of 421,800?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Any questions? Move on to LTC. Mr. Blanchard.
Yes, Danny Blanchard, appraiser for the tax commission. I performed an appraisal at 534 Dauphine Street, 1,176 square foot site that's improved with the 76 square foot building. Average condition, interior and exterior inspection was conducted. Arrived at using only the sales comparison approach, arrived at a final value of $491,000, which has a breakdown of $78,700 for the undisputed land and $412,300 for the improvements.
Thank you, Mr. Blanchard. Any questions? Any further comments? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, call for a motion to accept the Board of Review valuation of $421,900, which is the land of $78,700, improvements $343,100, total of $421,800.
There's a motion. Any discussion on that motion? Any objection to the motion? Hearing none, motion carries. The next appeal is item docket number 23-22173-133, the appeal of 7816 Hayne Boulevard.
So the property at 7816 Hayden Boulevard is leased as a wedding venue, and my parents purchased this in 1978 for about $600,000. The property is in good condition. It is a beautiful property. However, it's located in New Orleans East, which has really kind of fallen on hard times because of the neighborhood. I think that makes it a very difficult property to both operate a business in and also to sell. We attempted to sell it. We've been in since a little over a year. We were trying to sell it for $500,000. So property values are definitely going down. We weren't able to sell it at that. We did have one offer at $400,000, which we didn't accept. The neighborhood, as probably everyone's aware, has deteriorated considerably since Katrina. Just not rebounded to a degree to justify I think this assessment. As we all know with real estate, location is everything, and I think just the location of it, has driven values down in that area so much that I'd love to sell it for what the city is valuing it at. It's not realistic. It's not possible. So that's why we're disputing the valuation.
And as I've asked or confirmed on other docket numbers, your ask for our record is $557,100.
Correct.
Thank you. Any questions from the commissioners? Hearing none, we'll move on to the assessor's office.
Yes. Good morning. So originally, the property was valued at $766,300, which was reduced at the Board of Review to $725. We took a look at the property and did a fee simple appraisal. That came in and at $659,300, which we thought was a decent value. The commission's just slightly less than that. I think about it's a slight haircut, like a low taper fade, like 4% difference. So actually sent a settlement offer to the taxpayer to settle for the commission's value. We just heard no response from the taxpayer.
Thank you. Any questions?
Apologize, I didn't see that offer. I may have been told I just I
Thank you.
apologize if I overlooked it.
That's okay. We'll move on to the LTC appraisal. Mr. Blanchard.
Good morning, Danny Blanchard, appraiser for the Louisiana Tax Commission. I performed an appraisal of 7816 Haynes Boulevard, made a site visit and interior and exterior inspection of the property, the site, and the improvements, deemed it to be in very good condition, and the photos support that. Considered all three value approaches and utilized the income approach, which led to a final value conclusion of $648,100, which has a breakdown of $238,500 for the undisputed land and $409,600 for the improvements.
Thank you, Mr. Blanchard. Any questions, commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the LTC staff appraisal at land being at 238,500, improvements at 409,600, for a total of 648,100.
Thank you, Commissioner Guidry. There is a motion. Any discussion on that motion? Any objection to that motion? Hearing none, motion carries.
Done? All right. Thank you all very much.
We're going to modify the order of the agenda, commissioners. We're moving item L forward. So that is docket 23-22176-130, the appeal of Car Wash Blues versus Assessor Errol Williams. Good morning, sir. If you'd state your name clearly into the mic.
Kevin Hilbert.
Thank you, sir.
I'm a part owner of the next three appeals. The three properties that we're appealing, two of them are turn of the century doubles. The other is about a 1940 double. In August 31st, 2021, the three properties lost their roofs, walls were blown out, exterior walls were blown out, and the properties became uninhabited. The utilities were cut off. We acquired estimates and the cost to repair, and the costs were $470,000, $450,000 to $470,000. Our group decided against spending $1.5 million to bring the properties back on commerce. So the appeal, in my appeal, I'm asking, there are two issues I'm asking to cure and to consider. One's procedural and the other's valuations. I understand that through the state constitution, Orleans Parish, the new assessment for each year has to be performed by August 1st. I understand that. However, on February 20th, 2024, Mr. Cater with the LTC Appraisal Division, inspected the properties, or visited the properties. I tried to meet with him, and it didn't work out. He's very busy. He was going all over this city of New Orleans and whatnot.
Sir, if you, I think if you could just bend the mic closer to you, you don't have to lean in as far.
The rest of the block, the three houses are in the center of the block, front Chapatulas. Behind that, in a U shape, is our car wash. So we have a staff, 7 days a week, 8, 10 hours a day. I don't know if Mr. Cater, I set it up that he could talk to the manager or assistant manager. I don't know if he talked to either one of them. Anyway, Mr. Cater's valuation was done, as I said, February 20th, 24. 32 days later, March 6th, 2024, we received the permit to start demolition of the three properties. We were ordered by the city to take the houses apart piece by piece because it was in the historic district. And the goal was to recycle the lumber. So 32 days later, after Mr. Cater's valuation, the land is vacant. At 65 days after the first of the year, the land is vacant. So we're requesting relief as taxpayers, prorate improvements that were ultimately torn down 65 days later. Our appraisals, our group's appraisals of the three properties are for land value only. And as a retired appraiser, when you have improvements on abandoned property, derelict property, uninhabitable property, the cost of the demolition should be subtracted from the land value. The theory is if the owner has to pay for that, he should, the value is land less the cost of demolition. Or you can discount the sales price to the buyer if the buyer wants to pay for it. But in any case, the cost of each demolition was over $33,000. So that's the procedural part. The next part is the valuations. In my forms, 3102 form, I have values on the first property, 551416, as land value $192,100. 5518 Chapatulas, I have a land value of $198,100. And the third property, 552224, I have a value of $182,100. The assessor's numbers, Mr. Alvarez and I spoke about this yesterday, I believe are higher. Mr. Alvarez offered to settle, which I appreciated the phone call, with the tax commission values, which include the improvements. Those values were $300,000 apiece. Again, I just, the only way I can explain the disparity is somebody did not go in the properties and see the condition. They might have seen it from the outside, but I don't believe they went inside. So I talked to the managers yesterday. Neither one of them could remember. They remember opening it for me to go in and take pictures, to let our appraiser go in, a guy by the name of Benton, but they couldn't recall anything else. I'm not saying it didn't happen or did happen. I'm asking for relief to the commission to discern that. So that's our dilemma at the moment.
So Commissioners, the docket that we're currently hearing is the last one referenced with the land value of 182,100. So that said, sir, your request, if I go back, I'm not sure that it's our purview from a procedural, but just to recap what you were saying, if I understood correctly, in March of 2024, you received a permit from the city because of a historic property for you to have.
March 6th, we got the permit from the city.
To demolish. Demolition didn't
demolish
happen at
all
that
three.
time, but permit to do, and you had to do as such. So your request, is it your position that there's zero value to the improvements? I guess, what are you asking for at a land value? Is it what has been presented?
Zero value in the improvements is fine, but I just brought up that in bank appraisal and federal government appraisals, if the improvements have no value, they're a detriment to the land. You subtract the cost of demolition. I'll waive that. Being a good citizen in New Orleans who's trying to stay there and operate businesses. I'm begging for the values to be land value.
Okay, understood. Any questions from the commissioners?
Yes, I just have one, Mr. Chairman. For the taxpayer, Mr. Kevin, you said that each demolition was valued at about 33,000?
Yes, sir. I did. 33,000.
That was on each property?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
If you like, I have all the invoices from all the contractors who worked on it. But because it was historic, we had to obey the city, the council, who the contractor was going to be. And as I said, they literally started at the roof and got rid of the shingles, the slats, the shingles and slats, and then they took joist by joist apart, one by one. They didn't cut them. They pried them off. And same thing, two of the houses were barge board. I don't know if you're familiar with that construction, but it was the old barges that wood floated down the river. Each one of those boards, 3 inches thick by variable widths, 8, 10, 12 inches, board by board, they yanked them off, and including the floor, plank by plank.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions?
Just to be clear, I think you're just asking for your appraisal value of
Yes, sir.
203,650. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Alvarez.
Yes, just a couple of clarifications real quick. The taxpayer mentioned that in bankruptcy court and federal court that you value the property, land minus cost of demolition. The state of Louisiana is actually not a highest and best use. It's a as is. There's a building on that property. That property gets an improvement value. The property had buildings on it when the tax commission did the appraisal. Mr. Cater's appraisal states that he did an interior and exterior inspection, and there are photographs of the interior of the property. So I'm confused as to why he said no one has ever visited the property. We did offer the taxpayer, or recommend the taxpayer withdraw his appeal because the Board of Review gave him his request. He requested $230,000. We told him he should withdraw it because the commission's higher than his request. And Our appraisal is actually higher than that, but both our appraisal and Mr. Cater's appraisal, all of our comparables are in poor and unsound condition. So it is an appraisal of apples to apples. We're not taking average condition properties and comparing against his properties, which are in very poor condition. We're recognizing that it's in poor condition, both ourselves and your staff. They're higher than the taxpayer's current value. So like I said, I called the taxpayer and said, you should withdraw this so you can retain the board review's value. But he declined. It's his request. That was $230,000, which he received at the board review and then filed an appeal afterwards and then got an appraisal afterwards. So I'm kind of at a loss.
Thank you, Mr. Alvarez. Any questions?
So just, my fault. So just to be clear, you offered a settlement for 230. Y'all okay with
Correct.
230 on the board of review?
Yes.
Okay, just make sure, which is within right at 10% of his appraisal. So I just want to make sure of that, the 230.
Yes.
Thank you.
May I give some clarification?
We're going to go to the LTC, then we'll come back to you if you don't mind.
That'd be great.
LTC appraisal, Mr. Cater?
Mike Cater, LTC appraiser. I completed an appraisal report of the subject property located 5524 Chapatulas. In developing this report, I relied upon the assessor's data, MLS data, to develop the sales approach. I made an interior inspection. The property is locked upon when I got there. I was let in. There were notices on the door of this property and the other two properties that a notice of demolition application had been filed for. But the buildings were still there, and it was my understanding that that permit had not been approved at the time of my inspection. Anyway, I valued the property. I did a land approach, and I also did a whole property. My land approach did justify the assessor's value at the 182,100. My sales approach for the improved property came out at $300,000. Therefore, my overall value was $300,000, with land being at 182,100 and improvements being at 117,900.
Thank you, Mr. Cater. Any questions, commissioners? So we've heard Mr. Cater's appraisal. We've heard the assessor's office accepting the parish board of review amount of $230,000, LTC staff appraisal at $300,000. So is there anything further that you want to speak to with those two numbers?
Those two numbers, I'm fine with what Mr. Cater said, if that's what you're asking. Mr. Alvarez asked, even though we got relief from the board of review, our group, which consists of like 7 people that own the block, requested that we get as I voted, they wanted to get an appraisal done. So that's how the appraisal got done. Because there was just too much going on in different directions. There was too many opinions of the value that are significantly different. But the truth is, without a doubt, the houses were torn down in March. They're gone. Now understand, the August 1st deadline, but we're asking for leave for that.
Understood.
I don't know if y'all know, there have been significant closures in flight from Orleans Parish. There's several reasons, but
Sir, I appreciate what's happening in the city, being in the city myself. I don't think that adds flavor to what's been presented this morning, so I respectfully ask you to pause on that. That said, we've heard the presentations. Is there a motion on the table?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the Parish Board of Review appraisal at land at 182,100, improvements at 47,900, for a total of 230,000.
Motion has been made. Any discussion on that motion? Any objection to that motion? Motion carries. The next docket is item J, 23-22176-127, the appeal of Car Wash Blues. So I'm not sure if there's anything different to present
There's
on this
not.
property.
We have
Mr.
nothing different to
Alvarez, anything
present.
on your end?
No, sir.
So your ask, just to confirm, is what?
Our original ask was, um, 337, but we offered to settle for the 3, but these properties are very similar. And so we, have no issue with the, maintaining the value for the 3 properties.
Maintaining them at 230?
Yes.
So we'd be consistent across the 3 for them?
Yeah, because they're all in the same condition. They're all the same, basically identical properties. We'll defer to the tax commission.
Thank you, Mr. Alvarez. Mr. Cater, do you have anything different to add?
No, that all the properties were pretty much the same. I'd agree with Russell on that aspect.
Just to note for the record that your appraisal came in at 300,000 on this property.
That's correct.
Thank you, sir. Any further questions? Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to set the total value at 230,000. That is 192,800 for the land and 37,200 for the improvement.
There's a motion on the floor. Any discussion on that motion? Any objection to the motion? Motion carries. We then have item K, docket 23-22176-129, 5518 Chapatula Street. Similar properties, similar positions,
Yes, this is the 3rd of the 3.
and same with you, Mr. Cater?
That's correct.
So the offer is to keep it, again, this is the 3rd of the 3, with 230,000 in total, is what's being asked. Mr. Alvarez?
Yes, sir.
Any questions from the commissioners?
Yeah, just to clarify on, then so that land value would be 198,100 with an improvement value of 31,900.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a motion to be made?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to accept the total value of 230,000. That's a land value of 198,100 and an improvement value of 31,900.
There's a motion on the floor. Any discussion? Any objection? Motion carries. Thank you, sir. Item 8 is any consideration of any other matters that may come before the commission. There are none. So item 9 is a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chair, call for motion to adjourn.
Motion. Any objection to that motion? Motion carries. Let the record show that our time of adjournment is